Hello, summoners, and welcome. Wait. Riot's replacing summoner names with Riot ID, and I'm not allowed to call you that anymore? Huh. Okay, let's try that again. Hello, Riot IDers, and welcome to the first episode of the Worlds Review. I'm going to be going over every game from Worlds, breaking down and analyzing what happened, and at the end, you better stay tuned because I'll be handing out some extra special awards to players who played well, and potentially to those who didn't play so well either. So, without further ado, let's do this, baby. It's World season. As always, these reviews are going to be spoiler-free, so make sure you check the timestamp in the description down below if you missed any games or you only want to watch certain ones. Team Liquid versus T1. The first game of the Swiss stage was wildly unexpected, and we started off with an absolute banger. Whenever we're talking about LCK versus LCS, obviously the LCS is going to be an underdog, but in this case, Liquid were not completely outclassed. Not at all, and they came to play. The game started with a dive onto Summit in the top side, but it was fumbled from T1 and honestly just looked like a bad decision. Cassante was able to hit level 3, and with the damage reduction and CC from his W and a very nice TP from his mid laner APA, Team Liquid will happily take the trade. Then, immediately after, a very nice one-route bot lane from Pioshik, all set up by CoreJJ's Rel, and they got a kill onto Guma. This was critical for the bot lane to stop the bleeding because during the level 1, Yon and Core lost huge trades, and extremely early on the Aphelios had no summoner spells. Despite the gank, T1's bot lane would just continue to roll Yon, and honestly the Aphelios would struggle to get into this game. By the time Ashe hit level 6 and already died once, Guma was still up 20 CS in a turret plating over the Aphelios. At the 8-minute mark, Summit would cut off Zeus' path towards the top side right into Pioshik's Lee, who was waiting on a control ward, and the Lee Sin became fully unlocked during this game. TL would use this pressure to start up the Herald, and while they did get it in the end, they were not able to get out for free, as Faker would pick up his first kill of the World Championship. 13 minutes in, no Drakes had been taken just yet, but with this excellent arrow from Guma that led into the rest of the setup from T1, they secured themselves a Mountain Drake.
Attention, wards everywhere, arrow going to connect onto APA. The hostile takeover comes through, and there is the chaining of CC. I don't know what you're supposed to do. In that moment, I think you just have to accept that you're gonna die.
Guma had a target on APA's Syndra this game, launching another arrow his way across the map, but this time APA flashed it. That could have been the end of the story, but a very nice dodge on the vision would allow him to sneak into the middle brush and hit Zeus with his stun combo. Pioshik would pick up his second kill of the game. The observers did a great job of swapping the vision just in time to see how pixel perfect his movement was here to get into the bush, and Zeus even shock blasted to check the vision. Really nicely done from the TL mid and jungle to secure this kill. A few minutes later, with Guma and Keria sieging mid, a fight broke out.
The speed up from Jace as Cole goes in.
Storm. That is going to be the hostile takeover though. It's Gumayushi's just raining hell down on CoreJJ. He's going to be the first one to fall, but Summit does get the all out onto Carrier. Not going to be able to bail himself out of this one. Bit too expensive, but the Q3 is going to connect, and now Gumayushi's in trouble. The arrow's going to connect onto Young, but it was Summit that was the problem.
This was a win for TL picking up the 2 kills, but it was so close to being even more for them. The instant that Core flashed in on Rel, there was an immediate double flash response from Guma and Keria, and the fact that Keria gets his Renata ultimate off just in time completely changed the fight. If T1's buttons and mechanics were just a frame or two slower here, it could have been even better for the LCS's 3rd seed. A minute later, a little quick pick onto Faker gives APA his second kill of the game, and the gold at this point was dead even. The second Drake of the game went mostly uncontested over to TL, and it was at this point that they felt quite comfortable and in control over the game. After another pick onto Faker in a side lane, TL would make the decisive call to start up the Baron in a 4v5. Let's watch it unfold.
There's 30 seconds on TL to make this play, and if they can lock this down, it could be a huge advantage for them. They need to keep Owner out of this pit, though, as APA, he's going down low. CoreJJ looking for his opportunity. Can he play bounce so they get him out of the pit? And it's going to be Pioshik that locks down the Baron. Can they win the fight, though, is the question. The hostile takeover gets the kill, utilizing Yun to kill APA. It's a disaster for TL and Zeus. He knows it. He's flashing over walls. Yun's going to be able to pick up one, though, with these chakrams. I have a feeling that that might be all he's going to be able to get, but let's see what he can do here. Uses the last of his mana on the moonshot. And yeah, he's in an alcove, and I don't know whether he's getting out.
The Baron execution here was both great from Liquid and also a bit poor. Summit was able to deny Owner from ever getting a chance to steal, and if the call from TL had been to fully run and get out, they could have saved at least 3 Barons. However, Zeus landed consistent and critical poke onto APA, who was way too low to properly fight, and Yon refused to flash the Renata ult, ended up killing his teammate. However, the play of the game came from Pioshik, and there's not too much to say here. My man and world champion Pioshik just goes nuts.
Going for it there as the kick does come through. Of course, Sonic Wave is going to connect as well. Core JJ looks for the opportunity, but the hostile takeover is there. Carrier always takes care of his friends. Pioshik, he even goes golden, going to be able to avoid the arrow with that. The rest of TL gets into position.
30 minutes in, and the second Baron being alive, Team Liquid and Core JJ were able to establish great positioning and vision control in order to pick Carrier.
They do not want to flip
Carrier is just going to get caught out of position. Core JJ is there, and that is going to be the pickoff to start this one. Even the Rift Skull is going to stay with the kick on the Faker from Pioshik. It does not stop from this man today. And Owner down to 50%. Of course, Summit's got the Q3, and it's a double for APA, and that's going to be a Baron for TL.
Man, Team Liquid were in the driver's seat to finish this game, and 35 minutes in with a 3k gold lead and the Dragons even, it all came down to one final fight.
Build was thanking us.
Scat of the week trying to come forward here. Summit just by himself, finds himself a Q. The Magnus Storm under 3 is gigantic, and Summit's going all out. He's going to get out of the fight as well with Kumiyushi. He's taken down Yon already. And Core JJ, both of them are going to go golden, and it's T1 that just roll over the top of TL, and even Summit will not be.
Wow. What went so wrong for Liquid? How did they get completely wiped and lose the game even though they were doing so well? Well, it all starts with Guma. He was able to free hit the entire time, and his positioning at his maximum range while still being over the wall was fantastic. It was an amazing ult from Faker, and Yon would die with both his sums. Guma also hit an arrow on APA. Once again, he's at his back in the entire game, and once Summit and Core went in, Syndra isn't there in range hitting spells on anybody. Pioshik was behind on the flank on Lee Sin, and he did end up kicking Faker, but it was a day late and $1 short. By the time the fight was engaged by Summit and Core, it was basically a 3v5, and you can just see how much better T1's Deathball teamfighting was here. This is why we've been calling League of Legends a team fight meta, and no matter what happens early, no matter how the gold discrepancy looks, due to the sheer amount of damage and explosiveness in the modern game, it comes down to literal pixels and frame-perfect execution in late-game fights. Cloud9 versus Mad Lions. EU versus NA is always a blast, and Blabber has made it his personal goal to prove himself this year. In draft, the team picked him up a carry jungler in the Taliyah, giving him a chance to put his money where his mouth is. And right from the get-go, an early ward would go down in his jungle, giving Elyoya in the Lions great information on Blabber's pathing. Elyoya would use that opportunity to invade and sit and wait for him, and this was a great play until Blabber had a sick frame-perfect flash to avoid him completely, and Elyoya would lose a ton of time. Throughout the early parts of the game, a massive CS lead in the jungle developed as a result of this play, with Taliyah being a faster clearer compared to the Jarvan as well. As the Jarvan would head top lane, it was a very nice flag and drag flash combo from Elyoya to get Chasey first blood. For those who don't know, Jarvan can redirect the knockup so long as he hasn't completed the entire animation of his EQ. The wave was absolutely horrible for Fudge, as the Jax and Gwen had both TP'd already and the minions were pushing away from the Jax. If Blabber wasn't there to shove out and fix the wave, the Gwen could have created a huge advantage and put the Jax out of the game completely. C9 would then end up revisiting topside and putting a lot of focus into their Jax matchup, as he is a true win condition with multiple roams and ganks from Blabber and Sven to help aid him. Chasey would end up getting dove, and without a truly solid answer and cross-map play from the Mad Lions, it created a horrible game state. It felt like throughout this game that the Mad Lions were always just a little bit behind the plays from Cloud9, and when they would do something well, it would be 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. Just like right here, where Carzzy would have a nice mechanical outplay to dodge out on a Taliyah gank, only using his ghost, but then after Blabber got close to lethal, he ended up greeting and getting himself killed in the process as Berserker was able to free fire. Unfortunately, the game state really never got any better for the Mad Lions from this point forward, and one of the more critical and completely avoidable mistakes from the whole day of Worlds came when Niski would greed top lane and get solo killed by Fudge. He was sitting on a ton of gold as he bought Sork shoes and a large rod in base, and he even had the opportunity to get out, but after using all of his cooldowns would walk back into melee range of the Jax. It looked like Mad Lions actually had a chance to weather the storm a bit once they picked up the third Drake and denied Cloud9 soul stacking, but C9 was ready for it and quickly pivoted that into a lightning fast Baron rush, all while the Jax got the solo bot lane tier 2. This turret, if you get it by yourself, is a fat stack of gold, being worth a double kill. So even though the kills were only 4-2 at this point, the game felt effectively over, and when Mad lost the teamfight right at the 30-minute mark, C9 would push for the end and won in 31 minutes. Everything went the way of Cloud9, with some standout plays coming from Sven on the Alistar, not just for the great dives on top lane to get Fudge ahead, but he was able to cancel Hilly's recon multiple different times. Gen G versus Gam. Gen G would come into the tournament as one of the heavy favorites along with JDG, however, they are known a little bit for choking internationally and not always putting their best foot forward. This should be a world finalist caliber team, but there is a long road ahead of them still, and it starts against a wildcard team that they should beat. In the draft, Gen G put heavy priority on the Alistar first pick for Delight. With Vi left unbanned and Maokai Poppy taken off the first rotation of bans, they were able to grab one of the top tier junglers while trading power for power in ADC by handshaking the Kai'Sa versus Xayah. 4 total mid lane bans in draft sounds like it would limit some of the options for Chovy, yet he still got his Ahri. Chovy, along with JDG's Knight, can make a very reasonable argument as one of the best Ahris in the world, and I think Gam didn't really do their homework and Gen G got absolutely everything they wanted and ran the most stock standard Gen G draft possible. This game started with Levi getting behind a few camps on Peanut after he would invade his red, but Peanut intelligently thwarted the steal by going for his Krugs first. Levi wouldn't have the full information on if Peanut had smite or not after we saw him smite the Krugs, and with hindsight being 20/20, he could have easily taken the red buff and got out. As he made his way back towards his blue quadrant, Gen G would control the vision and had tons of information on the Lee Sin's pathing. Gen G would then dive the Jax top lane and actually misplayed quite a bit. They did do well playing slow and not overcommitting on a Jax who had Counter-Strike, but then Kiaya had a real chance to completely turn the dive if he was able to flash the Cassante knockback. Instead, the Jax would go down and Doran would pick up first blood while he did trade 1 kill back. The Gigabyte Marines got a nice free pick onto Peanut at 7 minutes and tried to use some of that map pressure to start up a Herald contest, but then tragedy.
Here's the Vault Breaker being charged here for Peanut. Is going to come on through. Pallet going to be fighting Doran. Peanut still just in the fog of war. Doran's going to deliver them. The Haymaker comes on down and Peanut, he is going to finally start fighting, but he's straight into a Pop Blossom. He manages to pick up the kill onto the Jax, and now it's Delight, it's Chovy, and it's Gen G that are striking back in the battle. It was almost so good for Gam, but Gen G reigns supreme in the end.
A pick here, a pick there, and another pick here, and the game state wasn't completely doomed for Gam until about 15 minutes or so, when Gen G would pick the support, crash the Herald mid lane, and Doran would solo kill top lane. A nice TP from Chovy into a full commit from the team effectively won the game for Gen G at the 18-minute mark with this massive teamfight, and then Delight made the big play of the game with a 4-man alley pulverize.
Now not going to get Vault broken here by Peanut, but the Featherstorm does have to come through, but he's not going to get caught by the Pop Blossom. No knock-up from Delight. What was that? They do manage to get yet another kill for Kiaya, but it is once again not the story they were looking for, as he will eventually go down. It's a double for FaZe in the end of it all, and this time it'll be the ace for Gen G.
Gen G would close out the slaughter at 22 minutes, with neither Chovy or Delight dying a single time this game. BDS versus JDG. With the European 4th seed taking on the 1st seed from China and the tournament favorites, sounds like it would have been all but a formality for JDG to win this game. But as soon as BDS locked in the blind pick Garen and Cassiopeia, we knew that they came to play. For those unaware, their top laner Adam is not new to this pick at all. In the play-in stage and throughout this year in the LEC, he was known for having slightly more off-meta picks and being a very exciting player to watch. And when he picked up first blood in this game after a nice gank from Shio, it looked like BDS was going to put up a hell of a fight. However, this kill also shows perfectly how and why League of Legends at the highest level has evolved past taking Ignite in lane, especially in pro play. Teleport is just so OP and strong that despite the fact that 369 died, Adam's wave was in a terrible spot and he was forced to stay. 369 essentially gave up his life and didn't bother trying to flash away because the death really wasn't that consequential, and once Adam got dove with the help of Kanavi, top lane would neutralize very quickly. BDS was trying and they were making plays all around the map, getting Adam another kill. Nuke got himself a kill as well, and they were able to pick Knight in a side lane, but with the amount that they had to commit to this play with JDG pushing mid with Herald, it really goes to show why JDG is so freaking hard to beat. Their macro, team fighting, and decision making, regardless of how the first 20 minutes of the game goes, is completely world class. That's the reason they're the MSI champions, and that's why they're the favorites. Even when JDG is losing, somehow they're just always winning anyway. It's unfair how good these guys are, and they asserted their dominance at 23 minutes.
Start it up.
Well, immediately it is going to get spotted here. Lebrov getting himself towards that backline as Sheo immediately turned on his Vault Breakers on cooldown. The charm comes in. The layering of CC is perfect and Knight says goodbye. Enemy jungler is going to be a heck of a tall order. 369 taking a bit of damage, but he's just buying space. Adam's spinning, but I don't think he's winning, as now Rule is on the board with a kill on Crownie. Lebrov goes down as well, and Adam's just going to have to get out of there. Petrifying Gaze. It's not named quite well enough at this point in time, as now Rule is looking for a little bit more. Noxious Blast not connecting. The knock-up is there, and Nuke goes down as well. JDG, they just kill all of them.
They started up the Baron contest, and their support missing had fantastic positioning in the pixel brush. You can see how coordinated they all are. BDS, even with a gold lead, never stood a chance in any team fight. This game went from good to okay to completely doomed in a matter of minutes for the European Cinderella team, and JDG would close it out with a huge team fight at 26 minutes. The JDG draft went exactly as planned, with Ruler and Knight on their carries, 369 being the best tank player in the world, and Missing playing these Alistar engages absolutely perfect. Despite a bad early game, nobody really thought that JDG was not in control of this game, and they're going to be insanely tough to beat this year. G2 versus DK. First pick went to Orianna for Caps, the premier mid lane champion at the tournament, and Han Sama got his famous Draven. I like Damwon's draft here as well. Showmaker is good on Azir, and running the double poke with Lethality Varus ADC in the Jace top for Kana meant that if they could land the poke before the crucial objectives, these Rel and Alistar engages would be deadly. Keep that in mind. G2 would start this game incredibly strong. With all of the priority in their lanes, they were able to pick up first Drake uncontested, and it's a high value one with it being Hextech. Hans was able to accrue a lot of stacks on Draven farming for 9 minutes, and then it's showtime.
But will it save his life? Ignite's down. Couple of autos too. Kellen with the flash away as well. And G2's bottom lane matches it. Oh my god! This team's pretty hot.
Han Sama's Draven.
Anytime your Draven is able to cash, it's a huge advantage, but the plays didn't stop there for the European first seed. Kana did a nice job to secure the plating in a bad situation, but ultimately lost his life not once, but twice to ganks. At 13 minutes, G2 held a 3k gold lead with first tower and a 3-0 start. DK wouldn't go quietly into the night though. Only 30 seconds later, a huge wombo combo from Canyon and Showmaker led right into the Alistar and Varus, and boom, just like that, a double kill to your world champion AD carry Deft, and they were back in it. At 19 minutes, G2 executed a 5-man dive on the bot side and reaped the rewards massively. 3 kills total, with 2 of them going to the Draven, and 2 minutes later, another engage setup with the Maokai ult goes down mid lane, and Draven cashed again.
But he's looking for more money. Trying to roll the dice as Mickey X tries to get them out of there. Berserk for the time being. Running back in, G2 want to re-engage.
It's chaotic, but it's going in G2's favor. They'll find another kill, make it 2. 4 down on the side of D+.
finish line, but massive gold lead now to 5K. The flash ball from Kellen doesn't work out. Re-engaged by Yike. The Ents are out, and here's Broken Blade for the stun down. That might be a tanky Alistar, but out of the farmyard he goes. He becomes a Paddy again. Hansummer runs forward, gets more money in the bank. This guy's interest rate is huge.
With their huge advantages across the map, this would lead into the Baron flip in a 4v5. Let's see what happens.
Here we go, the Baron is kicked off.
Well, no ulti from Deft as they're stoned out by the whirling death over the wall. Kana can't do too much, and it all comes down to
Are they
Canyon.
going to flip this? Are they going to flip this?
Be very
Please
G2
don't
to
flip
do
it,
so.
G2.
You're saying please no, but in goes Canyon looking for it. The all-in, oh my god! They've set up DK to smack him down, and they get the Baron! Betty has said no, but DK say, oh yes! Yike running for his life, he's next to go down, and all of a sudden the tables have turned.
Oh man, this was an absolute disaster for G2. Baron goes over to DK, and in the end, Kana gets right back into the game with a triple kill on the Jace. DK can then use their poke comp with Baron to siege mid lane and knock down the tier 2. They were looking to fight at G2's third dragon with Canyon in position to flank, however an excellent smite from Yike put G2 on soul point. Despite their gold and dragon lead, G2 could not control the vision and the priority on the second Nasher, and at 29 minutes the LCK's 4th seed would take it. This game was effectively dead even at 30 minutes, and it was anyone's game. With the gold discrepancy negligible and powered up by Baron, DK is looking to deny G2's Ocean Soul.
You should be able to spot this flank out.
Yeah, Broken Blade, the lens is there, and away he walks. Maybe the wrong target here as the dragon now spawns. All G2 need is something to stop this Red Bull Baron power play.
But look at the levels as well. Like, you know, Yike's not even level 13 yet. He needs one more creeper. He needs a bit of experience to get that level up. Cap's a full level down against Showmaker. Broken Blade, 2 levels down, close to level 16.
True.
The flank, though, coming in from Broken Blade.
And look who's there. It's Deft by himself. Dominus now pop looking for Deft, and to stun him up, he cleanses away, but Broken Blade has brought the Armada to him, flashes away. He might have done his job as he goes golden, but he should be dying here, but Slice and Dice, he's out of there. But hang on, he needs the reset, and he can't find it. However, now with the Dragon up and the Renata ulti out, it might be okay as G2 bring it to a 50-50 and win it out. Ocean Soul there. The Yike, some reason, flashes upward, but G2 have a permanent buff in this game as there is also a grave labeled out for Mickey as he drops down.
They were now down in gold at 31 minutes, and G2 needed something desperately. Yes, they secured the soul, but their macro around the Baron was causing the game to slip right through their fingers. And then, the best play of Worlds so far. Caps is just too good.
3 kills.
And now might continue on as Caps is caught out between his 2. Turret Shockwave's there, but it's late. There's the Magnet Storm. Chains the corruption. The Shockwave eventually comes through to correct myself as Caps flushes. No! Deft with the timing's huge. Kellen gets him out of position. I'm not sure Deft should have died, but it becomes a 1-for-1.
The ensuing fight was a rout for G2, as the power of the permanent Ocean Soul buff would help them a ton here. Broken Blade had a nice flash stun onto Showmaker, and unfortunately for Damwon, their support Kellen massively underperformed in this game. His Alistar time and time again was failing combos. Baron would go over to G2 without a single member dying, and then after picking off Kellen again, they secured Elder Dragon at 37 minutes. 41 minutes in though, there was still time for one more fight. Next teamfight wins the game, and DK was going to have to fight an uphill battle against a team with Ocean Soul. Huge props to Mickey here for getting off a massive Renata ult to seal the game for G2, completely game changing. This game was a battle, an intense one through and through, and if 1 or 2 smites went the way of DK, or if Kellen didn't sprint it on Alistar, they could have won. Weibo versus NRG. Looking purely based on the seeding, this is a number 1 seed versus a number 4 seed, so it should mean that the number 1 seed is favored, but when it's the West versus the East, nothing is a guarantee. You know when you load into the game and the announcer says this?
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, that was about the last moment that NRG was in this game. I mean, this was the biggest destruction of Worlds so far. Weibo would completely embarrass the LCS here. From the level 1 laning bot lane, this game was doomed. Light and Crisp would land huge trades onto the Kalista, and that would lead into the easiest Poppy dive in the world, and many people were rightfully critical of NRG's draft here. Kalista is a power pick for ADC, sure, but with the huge caveat that Poppy has to not be open. Poppy completely dumpsters Kalista, as she can't do anything if Poppy is on top of her. Also, it wasn't just through the bot lane that Weibo was winning, as the solos turbo stomped. Xiaohu had one of the best plays of the day, completely mind-gaming Palafox by predicting the Jace melee Q leap and preemptively timing his ultimate. With the Conqueror stacked, he was also able to blow Contrax's flash in the same play. The Shy was straight vibing on Rumble, playing first strike into Dokla's Ornn and basically laughing his way to the bank. Straight up printing money in this matchup, constantly shoving and harassing, generating a huge lead. Weibo dominated this game in every single aspect and deserved credit for how they played. A 9k gold lead at 25 minutes is a clapping for sure. They would end up finishing this game at 29 minutes, and shout out to Light going 7-0 on the Kai'Sa. LNG versus Fnatic. Scout is coming into this Worlds on a mission in order to get revenge for how he cost his team the series last year against DRX, and with him dominating domestically, we knew that he was in good form. Fnatic wasted absolutely no time trying to leave their mark on this game, and at 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Oscar would stack the slow push with Razork right behind him, looking to dive Zika's Jax. This was so close, with Fnatic messing up the execution. First of all, Tarzan was recalling during this time, and with hindsight obviously being 2020 and them not knowing this, if they had happened to wait just slightly longer, there would have been no answer from LNG's jungler. That was the first part of the equation, but the second part is all their fault, with Razork not willing to commit his flash on the Taliyah to perfectly lair the CC. Oscar went in and got the flash stun, but then Zika was able to flash the Taliyah flick because Razork still needed to get in range. It's tiny little details like this that separate the great teams from world-class contenders, and a ton of credit to Zika and Tarzan for turning this dive for sure, but it should have been much cleaner from Fnatic. At around 7 minutes, Scout makes a nice escape on a gank from Trimby, and then a few minutes later, Humanoid would check the bush, but Scout and Tarzan were ready.
Like, there are many analysts out there that do rate them that high, right?
A Scout, ulti's out. Okay, there's a flag and drag. Cataclysm down. This is why the mid jungle of LNG is so fierce. Tarzan and Scout, they're bros.
It's a clean execution. And what else is there to say? Humanoid burned the flash, made it easy for Tarzan to lock him down. Now the Herald is here. Trimby and Razork are going to try and mitigate the damage, but the damage is done.
Hong would then find Razork in the river and with zero hesitation pops the Recon Quickness. With Tarzan and Scout able to collapse, it's another free kill handed over to the Azir, who at this point is just going to be a massive problem. Fnatic finally showed some life at the 14-minute mark, with Humanoid making a nice roam down to bot, getting a pick onto Gala, and Trimby was able to trade back a kill on a dive. They were trying to do something, anything, desperately to generate some kind of advantage, but disaster would strike as Tarzan not only stole the Drake, but LNG got 3 kills to go with it. At the 15-minute mark, the lane economy snapshot popped up, and while Oscar was able to turret trade to get some gold back for Fnatic, the jungle and mid combo were simply unleashed for LNG. At 19 minutes, Trimby would try his best to engage, and he found a nice combo, and in the end, Fnatic fought back a little bit and bought themselves some time, but with Scout so far ahead, it still seems so doomed. And LNG knew this perfectly, which is why right at 20 minutes on the Baron spawn, it's a simple enough force. The 3-item Azir is simply too much of a monster, and they would secure it handily. 28 minutes in, and with a huge gold lead, they would force their hand and push for the end.
In the bag as Razork tries to do it again, at least getting one onto Zika. The feathers around, the inhibitor down. Razork next up, but Scout takes it, and he deserves it. A double for the mid lane legend, and LNG hold up to their name. They won't be dropping to EU second seed.
BLG versus KT. The final game of the day was incredibly spicy. From the draft to the actual game itself, it was awesome. KT's jungler Cuz would lock in a comfort pick with a little bit of a pocket Zac. Aiming would also get his best ADC in the Kai'Sa, so overall I was a huge fan of their draft. On the other end, Bin has been known worldwide for his incredible carry performances through top lane, not really opting in for tanks and instead usually a carry. The exception to that though, of course, has been the Cassante, who has plenty of carry potential, so when that was locked in for him, we knew we were in for a treat. At 8 minutes, KT was the first to rotate to the Herald, and with BLG being behind on the play and a small XP lead in the bot lane, Aiming hit 6 first. It's a sick play from him to wait in the bush while the wave was frozen in a tough spot for Elk, and he took advantage.
We can talk about it in a second, and we'll see how this solo kill followed out.
It's just a bait, right? Aiming not actually on any vision.
A few minutes later, no Drakes were fought over yet, so naturally, a fight is bound to happen.
Cuts their teleport as well. Elk immediately ults, and he's about to turn into Flubber for the time being. I mean, Cuz is out of action, but can he rejuvenate? No! And the engage from On is massive as well. Quickness out, KT burning flashes left, right, center, but should now twisted advance. Aiming's gonna drop down, and just as we're singing the praises of KT, BLG fight back.
Chronicler on the cast would point out the most important part of this. BLG did a fantastic job of timing and tracking the teleports, and Bin had the TP advantage for just a few more seconds over Keen, so there was no answer from KT. This is a huge play and awesome to see a world-class team track this stuff down to the second. However, KT would continue to scrap, and you can see why they picked the Zac. Cuz was ready with this pick, and the value is insane, helping the team pick up 2 more kills. 22 minutes into the game, the Dragons are 1-1, and KT is up with a small gold lead, and they're looking to pick off Elk pushing mid. I love that the observers were showing the vision here, because you have to see what it looks like from BLG's perspective. Disgustingly good reaction time coming here. Watch this fight.
Cuz actually getting it in gold. Not really, he hasn't really been picking up a lot of the kills. Elk might be in trouble here.
BLG bottom lane, it depends. There's a flash from Lahan's, instant reaction. Inhuman maybe, but there's a flash away as Cuz follows up the double trouble on, re-engages, but it's dangerous with the feathers flying. Onto Cuz, are huge as BLG are trying to take the fight. Keen in the middle of whoop. Sean looking for the flash, finds a kill. BLG back in this has been. Now finally shows up the all-out there. BDD caught out as well, and you can never nap against BLG.
And Elk knew something was up. I'm telling you, he had his finger on that flash key.
He did.
Didn't know if it was going to be Lands, didn't know if it was going to be Cuz. KT, they're still contesting this.
Yagao has flash, Lahens might be a recant, so he
It's
should
a 3
be
versus
fine.
5.
You're exactly right there. The poke comes through.
Okay, they're not contesting.
KT said backing, and they can't anymore. Dragon picked up.
A huge fight win for BLG, and just like that, they're in the lead in both gold and dragons. Fast forwarding a bit, Aiming and Keen are looking to pick off Bin in a side lane. He does a great job of kiting and stalling time as BLG is ready with the answer. He will ultimately lose his life, but does enough to give Elk and Yagao a chance to deal damage. Keen, on the other hand, will play it very well to live for a long time with the Gore Drinker, and the stopwatch is eventually popped from BDD as well. At the end of this entire mess of events, it ends up being a 2-for-2, and the game is completely even.
But now Shun ready to cover with the ulti of his own. Cuz covering again. These guys are friends forever as On brings them together, but it's up to Elk to bring the damage. He needs to get close, but he's scared of Lahens, of Cuz, of even Aiming in the wing. It's messy. It's a 2-for-2 in the end, but it looks so good for KT.
It's just a 2-for-2, but it's mayhem.
Then, the macro call of the day. BLG start up the Drake, and Lahens plays decoy as he goes over to check and distract them. All the while, the call is full send on the Baron for KT, and not only do they grab it, but all 5 members get it safely as Lahens, the master magician, escapes with his life. Back and forth, these teams would fight. 32 minutes in, and KT are sieging bot. And then, Bin shows you why he's one of the best players in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes on the Cassante.
Try and dive. So,
Flash, wait, Bin, what is he doing? The shove back though, Bin gets the half HP, but the all in, the all out is there. BLG fighting under that inner turret, going golden, going into GA. Cuz now caught up here as well. Maybe KT weren't expecting the Spanish Inquisition. BLG are chasing them out. Where did that come from, Chronicler?
it's Bin making the magic happen, finds Aiming.
37 minutes on the clock, and Bin sees Keen's Aatrox without his flash, and he does it again, finding the pick. Aiming's Kaisa goes way too deep, and while he does get something out of it with Yagao going down, he loses his GA and dies. On the other side, Elk would also lose his GA, but after the revive, BLG would set their sights on Baron and grab it.
Backline, Elk ultis once again onto Kazu, flashes in, gets feathered down, but in the backside, aiming is dead, but that GA is all the difference. Elk survives, Kuz is out of there. BLG make it a 1 for 2 as now Ben once again has got the blades out and KT have to run for their lives.
I do think that Lahen's BDD and Cuz still being alive might be enough.
Okay.
We'll see if they want to risk it. Zach's still opportunity is still here with the E. Is KT going to go for it? Right now it looks like they're not. Just going to give this one up and try and get a reset in. Free prio in the lanes. And if they get this, that is the Hextech Soul over to them.
I mean, is it going to be a 4-0 LPL day or a 3-1? Can LCK get another? It all comes down to this, to round it up as Cuz goes through the engagement. Look, once again, Keen is caught out. Shouldn't find him. BLG group up while the tanky members go through, but aiming. Is this his clutch factor coming through? He goes golden, he sets up with BDD. Elk is out of there. The flash on! KT are coming up clutch, but Ben has the swords out again. Stop the Cassante. Can you do it? Lahens runs for the hills while Cuz is left isolated. Just when you think aiming has done it all, they put him in the bin.
And with that should be Soul going over to BLG. If they don't just make a mad dash for it, they do still have the Baron available.
BLG comes out on top in the fight, and getting the Hextech Soul is disgusting enough as it is, but with the Jace poke from range and the Cassante now slowing you even more, it's going to be nearly impossible for KT to hold on. And 44 minutes into the game with one more Baron push, the MSI finalists BLG with their super top bin will win the final fight of the game. This match was incredible, with both teams scrapping the whole time, and this is why we love Worlds. With all the games from day one covered, it's time to give out some awards. First up, today's God Gamer Turbo Smurf has to go to BLG's bin. Even though everyone on BLG played well, the player they needed to step up the most and they look up to on their team absolutely did his job, finishing 5-1-10 on the Cassante and having massive impact on the game. Next up, Best Support Uwu 3, and you already know, I gotta give it to my man Delight. Gen G went into draft and gave him first pick on the Alistar, and it paid dividends. Not just the 4-man knockup that he had, but if you ever finish a game 0-0-16, then you're truly a support king. And finally, today's Stinker Dinker. I hate to say it because I quite literally share a name with the guy, but yeah, Kellen did not look comfortable on the Alistar at all. The polar opposite to Delight, actually. DK has struggled all year figuring out what support they want to use, and they've been swapping in and out between Bible and Kellen. I feel bad for Deft, man. He's stuck in elo hell with these supports. NRG versus TL. The first match of day 2 began in the lower bracket where two NA teams that were 0-1 faced off against each other. This is a bit of an interesting draft from NRG as they locked in the Senna Tahm Kench bot lane. This is the first time we're seeing it at Worlds, but not at all the first time the strategy has been played before at the competitive level. For a while now, this has been dubbed the Fasting Senna, and it largely works because Tahm Kench is a good duo lane partner for her and is perfectly happy taking the farm while Senna can scale through her passive souls. Heading into this game, TL looked very competitive day 1 against T1, and with NRG getting completely rolled by Weibo, we were probably all expecting TL to take the W. It's a really good thing then that games aren't played on paper, and instead you actually have to play them then, isn't it?
Push, I do think that close looking at the push, it's more, oh, his APA's in trouble here potentially.
Out of the week's gonna get him away. Palafox has the summoners available, he flushes for it, autos! And first blood to Palafox to kick a chat in the mid lane return.
It's really not often in competitive League of Legends that you start a game with such a bang. A level 3 mage versus mage solo kill, that's awesome from Palafox. Contracts would then make his way towards the top side of the map and successfully gank for Dokla, getting him far ahead in this matchup. Over and over again, there was constant pressure from Contracts' Sejuani with the main target being APA. Every time the poor guy had no flash, NRG would play well around that cooldown and put him further and further behind. NRG was playing with emotion and passion that came through in their gameplay with just how upset they were that their match against Weibo went poorly. FBI and Ignar looked way better on this bot lane combo as opposed to their own Callista pick. CoreJJ also wasted a ton of time during the early parts of the game sitting and hovering around mid since Palafox had no flash from solo killing APA, but he wasn't able to find anything. With TL being as far behind as they were, it was a 20-minute Baron force from NRG, and it was definitely a smart call because they saw that Pioshik had to answer bot lane as APA died yet again, getting run down by Dokla. However, the Baron was not finished by NRG, as TL did a great job of stopping it with a nice fight. Good kiting from Yon's Kalista, and the game wasn't over at this point.
All in with the numbers advantage there. Igna saves FBI. Meanwhile, Dokla dies downstairs. But look at Contracts onto Yon, trying to run away. There's some spears in, but as he gets separated out, TL trying to get numbers advantage. Contracts will eventually die. It's the best fight we've seen so far from Team Liquid, but Summit needs to go down, and NRG have their targets in order. Core JJ and Yon are all that's left standing.
The point at which things really escalated, though, was right here.
But now they're going for the engage.
Instead, the pick is there. Great again. Igna going to chase this one up as Contracts with the ulti onto APA is huge, but the shockwave! I know why they call him Palafaker. I can feel it.
What a massive difference between day 1 and day 2 for these teams. For TL, they looked so good against T1 only to get crushed by NRG, and then on the flip side, they clearly went back to the drawing board after getting nuked by Weibo. Palafox and FBI were my standout performers here, and a very nice and convincing win for NRG. We're pretty excited to see what they'll be able to do in the 1-1 bracket. As for Liquid, they fall to 0-2 to fight for their chance to stay alive. As a reminder, with the Swiss format, TL became the first team to get relegated down to the 0-2 series, which will be a best of 3 to stay alive at Worlds. Whichever teams are 0-3 are eliminated from the World Championship. C9 versus LNG. For day 2, this was the first match of the 1-0 bracket. After a very convincing day 1 win for both of these teams, I was looking for a couple of things. For NA fans, they really need Blabber to continue to play well in jungle, as he's the main catalyst for their plays, along with Sven being an excellent support. And of course, for LNG, everything goes through Scout. Their mid and jungle duo with Scout and Tarzan is one of the best in the world, and for C9 it would definitely be a good idea in Giraffe to deny that Azir, since Scout went 11-0 on it yesterday. Oh. Well, this is going to be a tough game. Other than the Lee Sin pick, this is a full scaling draft from LNG, with Gala being one of the best Tristana players in the world. C9 though absolutely needs to snowball with Renekton, or eventually they will just lose the front to back late game fights. The first Drake goes over to LNG, but no kills yet. Until...
Eked out there by LNG. You know, it was a little bit of an edge. They're going to go for Syndra.
Emperor's Divide, the glide, and see you later. The kick back with the Sonic Wave doesn't connect. It slows down the play, but Scout with his range again. Oh no. First blood to the man in the mid lane for LNG is a big plus.
At 12 minutes, Blabber and Fudge are looking to dive top, and it's a great time to try this, as Renekton and Sej have both completed their mythics, while Zika's Jax hadn't had a chance to pick up the Sunderer in base yet. This dive was executed to perfection, and on the opposite side of the map, Berserker and the rest of C9 showed some awesome mechanics by surviving the LNG answer dive. This is a great start for C9, and I really like the way they're playing. At 17 minutes, the game is dead even in terms of gold, but LNG had the Drake advantage, being up 2-0. On the top side, Fudge was starting to get a bit of a lead over Zika, and Sven was the first support to complete his mythic. A fight is going to break out at the third Drake, with LNG looking to secure their soul point, but C9 is going to try to answer with a double TP.
Oh, here's the TPs!
Scout ulti's out of a panic, he flashes away as well, he's over. This is good for C9, because here comes Chocolate Fudge right into the mix as Zika starts spinning, but he flashes as well. LNG are panicking, and C9 have them on the rope.
That was such a fast double TP from Fudge and M&S. They get 3 flashes from the top side. They're going to give it up completely. They realize, nope, that went way too bad. We will get smoked if we actually fight this.
By getting this Drake, C9 will buy themselves a bit of time, and they can deny the Soul win con for now, but their comp is still desperate to close out this game before Scout makes you pay for giving him Azir once again. Unfortunately, in this game, there was a massive technical issue that caused a very long pause and even needed to use a chrono break that took us back to a dead ball state. After getting unpaused, C9 began to pressure the Baron, and they had a plan. Find and pick Scout.
35.
Oh, they're on the Baron.
And we are back in. Thank you for your patience. C9 come back from the chrono break and hit the Baron.
Zika has no TP, and they saw him bot. They're going to
starting
engage!
with action. Scout with a 3-man, and he's dead!
Oh!
C9 come back, and all of a sudden, game goes bang!
Oh! Hog is knocked in the pit.
He's flashing out. Well, the Baron held on for now. LNG down a member, down their crucial member, and stuck in a 4v5 with Zika coming towards mid.
Oh, this is crazy. As Zika is moving up, they're going to try to go for it, but Tarzan, they ought to get out. They got
Flashes in onto LNG. The kick away, disengaged, but Baron still going down. LNG will lose out, and Cloud9 have the objective for North America.
Cloud9 decisive out of the pause there. Woo! That was madness.
This was a massive play for C9 to take a lead in this game. Baron is theirs, and they can push and attempt to end this game before they get outscaled. They can do it. NA has a great chance here. Critically though, Cloud9 would decide to not fight at Drake and instead give the third one to LNG. They would grab control of mid priority and even got a free pick onto Hong, who for some reason was way out of position. This looked like some kind of coordination or communication issue, and the game looked totally in control for C9. And then everything changed when Tarzan got an unreal kick.
Fudge on the bottom of the screen was pushing them away. Wyvern's Ven trying to look for this dive, but then watch Tarzan and Zika coming from both sides. Flash kick. The scatter was there in time, but it just didn't matter as the flash in from Zika. 3-man counter-strike. That's the Jax you know and love from the LPL.
The rookie top laner, underestimated, but so deserving of praise. His Jax needs to be banned away. And for many reasons, they've left it open as Berserker, also looking at part of the replay, got absolutely blasted with the shutdown going over to Gala.
That's brutal, and he loses both summoners after that as well.
I think C9 really messed up by giving the third Drake and instead going for mid priority. Yes, it's true that they got the pick on Hong, but losing that fight made it a lose-lose situation. Once LNG got the Infernal Soul, there was nothing left to do for them but end the game. Scout would finish with 7 kills, and similar to the day 1 TL versus T1, LCS did put up a great showing against a superior team. They would get a lead with Baron and just unable to close out and finish the game. If you want to see what the gap between the LCS and the Eastern regions truly looks like, look no further than these two games. If the LCS wants to have any chance of making a real run and putting up a showing at this Worlds, they need to figure out how to close out games. MAD versus BDS. EU versus EU in the 0-1 bracket. MAD looked terrible against C9, and BDS looked somewhat competitive against the gods of JDG. If the Lions were going to do well in this game, they would need to come into the draft with a plan. And they did. They banned out Adam and made him uncomfortable. No Garen or Olaf for him. The other part of their draft strategy was in the jungle pick, Bel'Veth. This has been a monster champion in solo queue this year that was so OP that multiple Bel'Veth players made rank 1 around the world. This would prompt the champion to get nerfed, so much so that even on live it's going to eventually be buffed. But the Mad Lions didn't just pick it for no reason. It was all a part of their plan. This game started at level 1.
Waiting for it. And it looks like they're going to be down to scrap. The weird thing about this, though, and we saw this actually happen to River when he picked it against BDS, is it just ended up in a kind of standoff against Shio.
Yep.
And I actually think that's very good, for the Vi. It's the Bel'Veth that needs to make things happen. It's going to be a smite fight.
And it's won out by Elyoya, level 2 hit straight away, and look how efficient they are.
Inside of solo queue, you will see this strategy done a lot. This is the Bel'Veth bread and butter as she destroys the Raptor camp with her Q. Elyoya would then get a huge lead and began the counter jungling. Shio would try his best to stop it, but at a certain point it was out of his control, especially if Hilly is going to move as well. After getting the jungle off to a massive lead, they were able to generate a nice 2v2 kill in bot lane. Of course, then the Bel'Veth wants to put priority onto the Herald, which he would get and drop at bot lane. Everything was going the way of Mad Lions as the Bel'Veth strategy was executed to perfection.
When you're playing against BDS, you've done it so many times. You know this team.
Oh, above and below, starts it off. There's onto the turret. It's all about this Rift Herald that should get an easy charge. Elyoya.
Once we reached the 10-minute mark in this game, we entered the official Fiesta stage.
Your jungle is not even there. You're going to get crushed in the 2v1. So definitely have to be careful. But Sheo looking for plays. Nuke is in a good spot. But Hilly and Elyoya, they spot him with the sweeper.
Oh, it's a beautiful lens. Hylissang right back into the same position, but it's countered this time. Lebrov's in, but a 3-man Magnet Storm, and it's going to be banquet time in a second. Hylissang gets out, but Elyoya still not able to get his damage down on his Kraken Slayer as Chasey teleports in, but at the mini-nah. That's like Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was 14. Mad running for their lives as BDS are getting something in this game. They're back, at least in some significant way. Kill, meanwhile, on the top side.
No ulti on Renekton.
Now, finally, the Meganar comes through. Chasey versus Adam. It's been about Chatham, but now better be about Giga Chasey.
Adam dying here was a huge mistake and would cost BDS a ton of resources. This is a nice play by Chasey. No flash or ult on the Renekton meant that he was easy pickings, and then Gnar was able to get the push in top lane, leading Chasey to get first tower. If the Gnar gets ahead in this matchup in the side lane, it is completely brutal for Renekton, given that he's outranged massively by mini Gnar. Mad was in total control of this game, so all they had to do was not throw and do a super sketchy Baron 50-50 flip. So, naturally, at 28 minutes, that's what they decide to do. You know, throwing for content.
He's getting low, though. He is tanking this up for a long time.
Oh, he jumps in Shao a little bit early. Niski not going to get to go in, but it's stolen! BDS keep themselves alive. The Frozen Tomb's out as well, as Kazi has to get out the back of the pit, but Elyoy is down. No banquet for him. Adam gets a kill, but is quickly traded off as well, as Nuke is the shining light. BDS, all hail the mid laner,
Oh,
he flashes misses. Kazi with the quick sidestep is massive. Mad still went out, and I must pray now to Kazi.
The bounty was secured and Baron was stolen from BDS, but Nuke will not be happy about this. He'll be thinking about it for a long time, since this was so close for him being absolutely game-changing. Well done from Karzi to kill him, but man, this was so close. 31 minutes in now with Hextech's soul on the line. If BDS can front to back properly with Nuke's very strong Azir and somehow take out the Fed Bel'Veth, they can do it. But Hylissang had other ideas.
They have a chance. He has Death Cap, but look at Chase. He's on the side, and he is charging up that Narbar.
BDS have come so far for this point. Glacial Path not taken yet again. Elyoya is
going
going to be the
down.
strong jungle dragon. Indeed, it opens up. But Hilly, you are not silly. You're in charge. And now with you launching them back, BDS still trying to find the fight. Mad somehow getting bursted down. Adam takes a while, but look at this.
What a huge engage from his Rel, who I seriously think teams should stop leaving open. I know there's a lot of OPs right now. You have to ban Poppy, Nico, Vi, and Orianna, but every time that Rel gets through while also being a flex pick into jungle, it just seems like too much value. This was not a clean finish at all for the Mad Lions, and I would have loved to see them finish this game in a much stronger sense, but the level 1 strategy in the jungle pressure was impressive enough that I think I have some confidence in them. They will improve to 1-1, and BDS will drop down to 0-2 to fight for their lives in the best of 3. Fnatic versus Gigabyte Marines. Fnatic lucked into drawing the wildcard team for their 0-1 match, and they really cannot afford to waste this opportunity. Humanoid would get his Azir, which many people believe is his best champ, and after what Scout did to him on day 1, it only makes sense now that it's his turn. This game started with the Gigabyte Marines looking strong. I love this play from Pallet, so patient in the bush.
So impactful across the map, but they still don't see him. He's holding out. He then goes for the engage, sets up for Levi. It quickly becomes a 3 versus 2. Make that 4 versus 2. Razork's abandoned, and Gam, just like we said, play the early game.
That side brush ward made all the difference. Not only did they see everyone from Fnatic walk in, they saw Humanoid leave, and it's not after that Unleashed TP. He can't TP and join the fight.
I mean, they're
and
going
now
again.
Pot.
Noah, he doesn't burn the flash. Both summoners available, but it's matched. Levi's there. One more hit. Noah gets out. Now, summonerless, as Fnatic a hit bot as well.
However, no flash on Kai'Sa meant that Razork could head bot lane, and Razork's rel ganks were on point this game. Despite the fact that he died early, he completely gapped Levi and found some creative angles. These are perfect rel combos. Gam kept fighting though, with Levi and Kiaya looking great in this 2v2 topside.
Gank, but 1 versus 2. Renekton ain't afraid of that as Razork here to save the day. Welcome back to my team, brother. I don't abandon my top laners, but Kiaya slices and dices.
One of my favorite kills from the day also came from Slater. This is a really nice angle on the Kai'Sa ulti. The Marines knew that they could not let Azir scaling beat them. They have to look for pressure, which is when a critical fight broke out bot side. This fight was on a knife's edge the whole way, but the Marines way overcommitted. They fought for too long against an Azir who could keep his Conqueror stacked up and Xayah with lethal tempo. Look at how long Noah's Xayah is able to hit and hit and hit. Off screen, the Cassante getting strong and completing Mythic before Oscar meant that he got solo killed.
The Q3 knocks him back, W buffer into the all-out, uses the W, and it's just the chase down here with that Iceborne, the constant slows. If you don't dodge those Q3s, you just cannot get away.
Just as they did on the bot side of the map, Gam knows that they cannot let this simple front-to-back scaling comp beat them. Humanoid is too good on Azir, and they need their lethality and poke comp to get ahead for this Cassante to keep snowballing. That's why they're forcing topside, but it's a total disaster.
With Trimby rolling up with Noah rolling in, with the shutdown rolling out. Gam are sent packing as Fnatic.
After Fnatic wins this huge fight, they definitely get to double dip as well, with Oscar completely neutralizing all of his gold deficit since he gets to TP bot lane and take the turret. In a matter of just 2 fights, Gam went from being in control and winning to now put in a position where it's basically impossible to win. Humanoid picked up an early Seeker's arm guard against Cassante and 2 Duskblade champions, and they don't even really damage him anymore. The game-ending fight comes at 20 minutes, with Oscar's TP being great and Fnatic's fighting just being simply better. This game was scrappy, with fights everywhere, and I think Gigabyte Marines didn't even have an unplayable draft or a bad idea looking for these fights. They were just outclassed mechanically and on their teamfight coordination. Fnatic was supposed to win this game, and they did so convincingly. T1 versus Gen G. This year has been such a different look for Gen G, putting faith into Doran. Doran went from being the weakest link on the team last year to now someone that the team can play through, so giving him Rumble priority in the first rotation is a sign that they trust him. As for T1 though, Faker gets the most OP mid laner in Orianna, so what is the answer from Chovy?
One target down, transform style.
Oh, yeah, Akali. What's going on here, Wolf? Okay, this Akali is going to be picked up on the side of Gen G.
I love it, man. Gen G are feeling confident, going for a B4, B5 Akali Kha'Zix. Wow, I really didn't expect their draft to look like this, and as much as I think it's exciting, I don't like it that much. I think the Jarvan Ori from T1 is a lot better, so purely based on what it feels like, this should be a tough game for Gen G. They really need the Kha'Zix and Akali to get a few items before they can fight. The first fight of the game is an explosive one. Faker's mana is incredibly low, but here you can see the power of the biscuits.
Down into the mid lane, or come up I should say, as now Keria is here. He's got a combo going as the rest of Gen G is trying to come out and punish this, but it's actually T1 who are now in a 3v2 situation. Peanut has to flash away. Even Guma's joining the fight, and T1 are gonna start this one off with a bang. They get first blood for Faker on the Orianna in that South River.
And despite Delight being up here faster, there's just not enough health for Chovy. It's early game. Akali, his impact's going to be low. Faker has enough mana there, and T1 ultimately end up outnumbering them there. They will win the battle for the Scuttle to pick up first blood for Faker as well, who put that pressure on early.
This is a horrible start for Gen G, already being on the back foot, and things don't get any better when Giga Owner invades Peanut, and if your Kha'Zix is starting 0-2 and getting blown up by a Jarvan, this is going to be an uphill battle. As expected in the range vs melee matchup with Faker getting first blood, he's up huge in mid lane, winning trade after trade against Chovy. He's trying to sustain himself with the fleet and the Doran shield, but with Jarvan's mythic already completed, he's looking for him. This is a nice flash from Chovy in order to escape, but the game is still in a tough spot. However, here's where you can see some problems with T1's macro, and throughout the year, this is why they consistently lost to Gen G, especially in the playoffs. Gen G were the clear kings of macro in the LCK, and their dragon control is excellent. They send Doran down to the bot lane since he ran Ignite this game to help zone and start up the Drake, and it's a great play. Despite their deficit, they go up 2 Drakes to 0 on a good recall timer that they kept track of from Guma. I love now that Gen G believes in Doran though, and on his Ignite Rumble and him playing confidently, he waits in the bush for a juicy ADC who's all by themselves.
Seems to have no idea that this Rumble is in the bush, and now he's getting flashed on. Guma will be able to flash away from this one, and there's the ultimate just ticking down, and Doran will pick up the solo onto the Kai'Sa.
Honestly, I gotta give props to both players here. Guma played this well, cleansing the Ignite, getting the quick ultimate shield, and even flashing away, but Doran did so well by holding his ult patiently, and the Comet helps finish the job. Nice solo kill. A couple minutes later, with Paze holding mid, after getting chunked out, Keria sees the go button opportunity, and Paze wasn't fast enough on the buttons. Sweet play from the T1 support. Doran's play was so good onto Guma that he tries it again, this time on Faker.
The same spot. I saw this already, but it was Kai'Sa. But Faker says, I am different. I can challenge you. And that he will. He's just holding on, waiting for the 1 second for his shockwave. Doesn't even need it as Chovy going to come in, dodging the shuriken is Faker, but he's in a lot of trouble. He's alone against 3, and now Zeus is on the run. Delight trying to continue on this one. Paze running into the rest of T1.
Even though Doran goes down, this ends up being very worth it for Gen G, considering that Faker lost his flash and Chovy got the shutdown, unlocking this Akali just a little bit more. For the third Drake, Gen G wasn't able to be there in time and needed to reset, so T1 denies the soul point and picks it up. Faker can then rotate topside and start defending the tier 2 from Doran and Peanut, and look at that damage. The burst from Ludens and Sorks, a super fed Orianna, it's scary as hell. 20 minutes in, Gen G down a couple thousand gold, but a game-defining play coming up. What's it gonna be, guys? Chovy or Choki?
They know that Guma can fall back to that mid turret is okay. Faker.
Yeah, Faker in a lot of trouble here. Chovy on the chase. It's really difficult to get away from this Akali. He hits the shuriken as the shockwave lands. Does not care. And Owner can't do anything about it. Chovy just gonna pick up that kill.
Bit of greed here from Faker once again in the side lane. And yes, Zeus is going to force a teleport down here to bottom side, but this is going to open things up massively in terms of Baron control here for Gen G.
A huge pick on the side lane and another kill for the Akali. Now with the 4th Drake spawning and Gen G down less than 2,000 gold, this fight means everything at 23 minutes.
This in the bottom side. Delight is a bit caught out, but he is gone, and now he's going back in. He's looking for the big engage with that Rumble ultimate over the top. That's going to be the Kaisa just gone in this fight before it even began, as Chovy just running down the top side alongside of Doran, and that is a clean ace to the side of Gen G.
That's Delight's recon for you every single time. You think he's not going to be an issue. You think you've got him low. You think he's not going to go back in. He absolutely will. Gen G have positional advantage.
Holy moly, Delight and Doran, they played this so well. Look at the team fighting from Gen G. Guma, nuked, Faker, zoned, and Chovy picks up another shutdown. It's a full wipe and Gen G goes straight to the Baron. It looked so good for T1 and still they can't out-team fight them. The Baron power play and the excellent macro from Gen G continues as they balloon the gold, demolishing multiple tier 2s, and by 26 minutes, they completely swing the gold in their favor. One more fight at their Cloud Soul contest, but this Rumble damage might just be way too much.
From Aatrox, unless Zeus really goes the long way around, but even that bottom lane is pushed up for Gen G. This is very well set up for them to just take the Cloud Soul, and that they will. They're just going to take down the objective, and in the front is Owner. He's just going to get ripped to shreds immediately. Guma doesn't even get to do damage in this fight, as Zeus on the run as well, taking a punch. In goes Guma, trying to do something, but at this point it just looks like Gen G are in total control of this game, and Faker just gonna walk away with just his life. The rest of his team is gone.
Gen G ends up winning this game in under 30 minutes, which is crazy to think about given how bad the early game went. That's why they're the first seed though. That's why they're one of the favorites. Their macro is stupidly good and they choke you out from vision all over the map, and they know how to play the side lanes. G2 versus Weibo. If you want to talk about the game of the year, before I say anything else, this is it. I'll just go ahead and tell you, this is a game worth watching. So if you want to watch a good League of Legends match all the way through, don't watch this part and go watch the VOD. With that out of the way, let's break it down. The draft starts with something awesome. BB locks in the Yone, and Caps gets his Ori that looked so good in day 1. Xiaohu and Chris back on the same champions from the previous day as well, and I really liked Crisp's Leona, and Xiaohu is always stable on the Azir. Cassante for the Shy, as long as he doesn't int, is a great playmaking champ for him, and he's able to set up a lot of things for his team. The first fight comes at 8 minutes, and man, it's a big one.
Broken Blade playing this one very respectfully. He lets the wave push into him. I say that, and now he's stepping up straight into the Vi. The combo comes in. Can they take him out? Yes, they can. No flash, no hope for Broken Blade as the Shy and Weiwei put it together. And now with the all-out, the Shy is looking for a little bit more. Now Caps coming on in here, looking to get punished by Weiwei as a huge wobble combo does come out from G2, though. They turn it around, but Xiaohu says no. He will turn it back, but he doesn't get too much damage, and G2 will end up with the win in this fight.
Weibo, eyes bigger than their stomach there. You've got the win. You've got that pick on the Broken Blade. Set up for a reset there and control around the Herald. They commit too far there.
Even with G2 not securing the first Drake, it's still a 2-1 kill lead and a solid gold lead overall thanks to a winning bot lane matchup. G2 will end up dropping the Herald bot and execute a perfect dive, with the only issue really being that Mickey gets the kill. Overall, the game state is very solid for G2, but top is pretty behind after the Shy got first blood and is up a ton of XP. At one point, he was level 10 to Broken Blade's level 8. Right as the second dragon spawns, they lose control as Yike heads towards the top side. G2 was just a bit slow on getting there, and Weibo secures the second Drake. The Soul is now a very real threat. Thankfully though for G2, the Shy decides he felt like testing a few limits on stage and gives a free kill to Hans, so that's always nice.
Now Shy in a little bit of trouble here as the One's on top of him. safety here, but there's just too many G2 members that are able to hound them down in the bottom river.
But I think his next death actually isn't that bad. Sure, he goes down and dies again, but the third Drake is taken by Weibo and the Soul is looking more and more likely. Definitely seems worth. G2 tries to siege mid and take this tier 1, but this is stellar stuff from Weiwei. Look at this nice usage of his Vi E to pick up the shutdown on Han Sama.
He's going to get flashed on and finally goes for the late ult once again. And this time it looks like he might just get out, but
nice.
The residual damage comes in.
Weibo is starting to get strong, and this Azir is very scary, which is likely what prompts G2 to start up the Baron flip, but given how horribly it went yesterday, I'm getting a little bit of flashback here. It might not be the best decision, guys. You already threw your game yesterday at Baron. Please, G2, don't do this. Don't flip it.
Against the wall here as Weiwei is trying to threaten up to the Yone, and the burst damage is there. They take out Broken Blade, and that might just be enough as Yank is left alone in the pit, and it's a disaster for G2. Weibo Gaming totally cleaned them up in the Baron pit, and that is going to be a huge lead for them now.
Oh, the throws in the pit. The throws in the pit, that is.
Wow, Weibo wipes them off the map. The next fight at Seoul wipes them again. Baron and Mountain Soul secured with a massive gold lead. Weibo is in the driver's seat, ready to end the game, and a fantastic showing so far from them. It's really cool to see the LPL 4 seed playing at such a high level. They have this newfound coordination that we haven't seen. The world's Weibo buff is crazy. 27 minutes in, up by 9k gold and 6 towers to 1, Weibo just needs to win the next fight and end this game with a Baron push. It is over at this point. Until?
Cap's now completed third, level 16 for him. Mickey.
They're trying to go for something here as Xiao just going to be wombo combo. They finally found the engage, and they take down one of the most important members. That's a double kill now for G2. They find a miracle engage, and this is right when the Baron is spawning. They got to keep Weiwei out. They got to keep the Shy off of their backs. This guy is like a juggernaut right now. Can you stop this Cassante? I'm not sure, as the Baron is going to go the way of G2, but what about the ensuing fight? They get Caps on the top side of this one. He's the first to go down. Bit of an engage from Mickey X. A little bit Hansama trying to hold his own against Light, and he will be able to hold on to it. G2 are turning this fight in their favor after they get the Baron, and Weibo, it was looking potentially good with their tanky Cassante, not looking so good anymore. The shutdown.
30 minutes in, the Elder fight, Weibo still has a big gold lead and a big advantage with their Mountain Soul. Just finish the job.
Extended in some of their engaged potential. We saw there the pick on the Xiaohu. It comes down to teamwork. It comes down to 5 members engaging in a wombo combo scenario for G2 if they're going to get this fight in their favor. Let's see if they can do exactly that. The Shy this time on the front lines, but Yike is right there just waiting for it, but they might just have the damage. The engage comes in. Hansama gets that ultimate off, and the wombo comes in such a huge way for the side of G2. So many low health bars. Cap's still alive, but Light has to go 1v3 right at the end. Can he do it is the question. The knockup from Mickey is just barely enough as the ball is in the front here. Caps will be able to take him down. The triple kill for Caps as G2 win the fight.
They actually managed to do it. G2 find an incredible 5v5. The Elder Dragon is up for the taking. G2 are not going down without a fight.
An unreal wombo combo. Hans with a perfect Xayah ult and a huge feather recall. Caps with the best shockwave you'll ever see. And Elder over to G2. Now they're on the offensive. G2 goes top to siege. Weibo in their comms better be screaming, hold, hold, hold. They have to hold on for dear life and wait for Elder to expire. It's too OP, even with Mountain Soul.
It's going to be pretty interesting to see how G2 can manage this. Still 40 seconds on the push. Weibo, are you going to go for the pick? No, they just fight Xiaohu in the front. He's just going to be taken out for free. And look at the knockup from Mickey. They just get so much more in Hansama. In that backline, the Shy trying to be the hero. But I don't think there's any heroes left on the side of Weibo. They do clear the wave, though. And that is going to give them a chance here. Some extra time for the Elder buff to fall off. 20 seconds left here for G2.
Holy moly, they actually dived the Nexus towers to get that kill onto Xiaohu. They're looking to end the game right now.
I mean, Xiaohu, he's been picked again.
Here we go again. They get the knockup on the Light. He's all alone. He gets taken out. That's going to be, I think, in his Weiwei. He's getting burned out 1 second on the Elder Drake buff, and they don't have quite a wave. They've got that 1
respawns come out from Huevo, and Broken Blade, he's got a shield, he's giving it a chance. Another stun comes out from Yike, as Mickey doesn't get the knockup. This is just insane. As the Magnet Storm, is it enough for the side of G2? They say no, they're gonna back away.
Xiaohu's back.
Xiaohu, he respawns.
TP.
He's TPing. And they want to turn onto this one. Xiaohu gets the wombo, and the entirety of Huevo's coming in. Meanwhile,
The TP.
in the base, they're TPing it out of this one. Caps, he wants to end the game right here. He wants to end it right now. He wants to take the 2-0 for G2. He doesn't have a health bar though, and he's gonna go down. Huevo Gaming, they hold on to the base. Oh my god.
They do it, man. They do it. They hold on for dear life through the Elder and get themselves a Baron. They have open Nexus, but they're still so strong. 37 minutes in, Elder respawning, and Caps looking to cut the wave.
Okay, you can take Elder. I'm going to take your base, but he's going to be hit, and uh-oh, he's got the stopwatch, the Zhonya's to help him live. Yike. Fought out on the bottom side. He's got his teammates nearby. He is so tanky on the Rel, and the smoke damage so far from Huevo, not enough. Hansama trying to step forward. He gets hit, but immediately cleanses, and will get out for now. Another one hits him as Mickey isn't able to block for him, and Hansama finally decides to use that one. Here comes the wombo combo. They find Wei. Isn't enough as Xiaohu goes in, but yike, he perfectly is able to get it done. He's perfectly able to keep his team safe, and G2, they're able to take the fight in a huge manner. Triple kill for Hansama, and they will win this game.
Broken Blade is a hero. Broken Blade with that ult is sick as hell, saving the Xayah, who already lost her ultimate, in G2 from the depths of an 8k gold deficit, and with Mountain Soul on Weibo, pull this game off. Wow. I really don't know which team we learn more about here. G2 are clearly contenders at this tournament. That part is now obvious, but they can't compete for a world championship with these Barons. They are so bad. But once again, competitive League of Legends these days is almost entirely dictated by how well you teamfight, and if G2 can do it as well as anyone, they have a real shot. For Weibo, if this throw becomes an abnormality and doesn't happen again, they are one of the stronger teams. They had no business losing this game, and they still should be competitive. JDG versus BLG. This is your MSI Finals rematch, and the entire year, JDG has completely owned BLG. That's not just me being a homer or a frontrunner. They have seriously had their number to its entirety. BLG has looked like a world-class team this year and competes with everybody, except for JDG for some reason. They own them. BLG has to go into this game with confidence and look to change the narrative. In draft, we have an interesting pick mid lane. With so many mid lane bans taken out, Knight's fallback pick ends up going to the Vex, which is her first pick here at Worlds and one of the few times we've even seen her all year. First Drake going over to JDG after they won the early push isn't really all that unexpected. They have a Kalista lane and they're going to make the most of it, getting it uncontested. The first true fight of the game comes at the 8-minute mark. You're going to see unreal value in the Renata here, which is a pick that I suspect is going to gain more and more priority as Worlds progresses. It seems to be very good.
A huge one comes out from Yagao, and they just combo on a Kanavi, who gets the bailout and will get the first blood here for the team. Elk goes in just to get one kill, but it's still big advantage JDG as this Vex is just popping off. Ruler gonna pick up that kill, and On can't land the hook.
At 14, JDG starts to regain control of the bottom side of the map, with both top laners slowly starting to walk down. These teams can sense a fight coming, and BLG needs something. They cannot continue to bleed resources as they're already down 2 Drakes.
I think it's obviously a significant cooldown, but not the most important is Hook.
Okay, this one on to Knight, who is quite low. He's got the stopwatch as Kanavi's going. He gets them both as he goes back into the flag and drag. That is a bit of a disaster. 369, he's here as well. As down will go Knight. Finally, that was the one pick they were looking for. But what about the other guys? Everybody's going down here on the side of BLG, and only Bin is left here. It's just going to be a straight up ace. Is it though? Oh man, this is going to be 369 going down, but that's just a consolation prize. A triple kill for 5-0 Kalista for Ruler.
This game goes from bad to worse for BLG. Man, when they look towards this third Drake, they're already down 4k, and they cannot give over the sole point. They have a pick comp with Vi and Blitzcrank, so it's not a terrible decision to look to try, but JDG pushes their advantage, and they can simply walk in and take it. It's a nice smite from Kanavi, and now BLG are screwed. I both can and also can't believe this is what happened, but JDG actually won this game in less than 25 minutes with more than a 12k gold lead at the end. I say that because while BLG has looked so good all year long and are a Worlds contender, at this point you really can't be shocked that they got rolled by JDG. It's happened far too many times to be anything but reality at this point. They are fully mental blocked. They cannot beat them. The last game of day 2 is between two long-standing LCK teams in the 0-1 bracket. For DK, we know what their problem is. I said it in my Stinker Dinker Awards. It's been their support. All year long, that's been the problem. Canyon has been hit or miss as well, and sometimes he's the GOAT jungler, and other times he's been invisible on the map. For KT, they looked so good in their long, hard battle with BLG, but eventually lost a crucial team fight. They have the potential to be world champs this year for how well they played in LCK Summer during the regular season. They just need to get some confidence, and they have to put it all together right now. It really starts with Lehens. The expectation going into this game should be that it's a massive support gap. After a dead-even first 7 minutes, here we go with the first gank from Cuz.
Going to get comboed here by Lehens, and Ignited is going to use that satchel very late, just flash onto the backside of it. In comes Cuz looking to force it, and it looks like he gets it with the permafrost. First blood onto the Ziggs in the bottom lane as Cuz comes up with a huge gank.
This is a nice start from KT, but due to the long-range poke comp with DK having a Zir Ziggs, they're able to pick up the first Drake. Nothing really happens until the next fight at the second Drake, and again, it's just... wow. I mean, Kellen, buddy, listen, my man, as somebody who is named Kellen, this is so sad to watch. You're not putting in a good word for us. I haven't played Leona in like 5 years, and I think I could do better than this. I'm sorry, brother, but come on, man, you can't have Kellens look like this out there. Just as with the last Drake, the range and the poke from DK is good enough that they can hold those combat lines and get it. But KT will win the ensuing fight based off of the fact that, you know, their support isn't completely griefing the game.
And the poke damage is coming out here. Some low health bars. You talked about Leandres. Finally, they are going to find Showmaker in the front, but there's just no follow-up on that one. So DK, a lot of skirmishing here, and finally they commit onto the Croc, but they don't take out Kellen. They don't have the damage to take him out, and it's 3 kills going straight into the pockets of KT.
Once again, though, at a neutral objective, the poke and a massive zoning ultimate from Kellen helps DK get the Herald, and look at that, they actually pick up a kill. Time for the third Drake, and I know I've said this at every single objective fight now, but it's not my fault that the same thing keeps happening. KT gets poked out. Look at their health bars. Damwon basically just groups, lands some poke, and shoves them out of the objective. KT struggled all early game to control enough vision, and Lehens couldn't find any flanks for their engages. Okay, surely something different is going to happen at this Drake. There have been 0 kills or any real fights all game outside of the neutral objectives and 1 gank from Cuz. Something will give. Kellen will land an ult. I believe he can do it. And look at that, he does. He hits it. He hits BDD, but unfortunately, it doesn't really matter. It's inconsequential since KT plays really smart here. They play slow and they let BDD TP back. KT then denies the soul and, well, if you believe this or not, Kellen dies and DK loses the fight. Shocker. 28 minutes in with KT sieging mid, the LCK MVP shows us why we all knew this would be a huge support diff.
They gotta do what they gotta Renekton behind them. They have no idea. Deft is in a lot of trouble. Satchel not gonna be able to do much. Gets stunned up and killed immediately as Lehens gets into the thick of things, and KT, they're going to find the fight that they needed this entire time. Double kill already for aiming. Can he line up the penta? I'm already looking for it because we have so many. Kana, though, trying to get on in there. And unfortunately, he's just going to go down, gives the triple kill over to aiming. This game might have just ended in a couple of plays, Wolf.
It looks like it. And once again, okay, they're going to back off. They're going to play it safe. You don't want to go 0-2. I mean, 20 seconds on Deft here. He could be the savior of this game if he does, of course, survive. You see Showmaker just pushing out that wave bottom side as Keen gets onto this. And once again, look at the timing of this. He just barely gets in, gets the stun off, but regardless, it's Lehens. I mean, you hit that slice and dice, or rather the stun there from Renekton. Regardless if you don't, it's still going to be a play from Lehens that wins this for you. The knock-up is fantastic. D+ just trying to hold on to their base. Didn't see the Keen flank, not enough vision.
KT would put Damwon out of their misery at 31 minutes. This game was a snooze fest, and I swear, DK, if you contact any random challenger support, somebody who has never played a single game on stage before and have never even practiced with your team, it might still be better. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but can it really get any worse? Alright, all jokes aside, at the end of day 2, we still gotta give out these awards. Starting off, we gotta give some props to the Deathless King himself. Our boy Chovy in 2 games has performed exceptionally well and is living up to his title as one of, if not the best mid laner in the world. So far, he has not died yet, which for him really isn't that surprising as we know him as somebody who always has a good KDA, but it's not like he's just doing nothing. And doesn't that say a lot more about Chovy, the fact that we expect him to have a great KDA, we just expect him to do this well? That's how good of a player he is, and the Ahri and Akali both look great. Next award, holy f***, ban Azir. Scout in 2 games has 18 kills on the pick, and if JDG want to let him have it again, we're going to have a hell of a series. Despite the fact that Chovy has not died yet, I think it's clear that the best mid laner in the tournament so far after 2 games is Scout, but I'd like to see them force him to play something else. Make him prove he can beat you off of Azir. The final award, Jungle Diff. It's a bit disingenuous to give this award solely to Elyoya since it was an overall team effort and a great strategy from the Mad Lions, but at the end of the day, he's the one piloting the Bel'Veth, and it was a nice recovery game from the Mad Lions to not go down 0-2. As a reminder to how Swiss works, tomorrow we have 2 best of 3s, LNG versus JDG and Gen G versus G2. The winner of these series will advance to the playoffs of Worlds, as that would push these teams to 3-0. However, the loser is still in a great position at 2-1. I'll be uploading immediately after both of these series complete, covering them both in one video.